No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wootton. This is Outspoken Live episode number 296. And breaking today, slippery Starmer's treacherous government has been plunged into total crisis as it faces the closure of every damn migrant hotel. After that epic win of the Epping Council over the Bell Hotel following a series of alleged sex assaults on Essex women. Yet the regime media continues to try and do the bidding of Labour, suggesting the invisible far right are trying to use the decision to spark violence, proving they are true enemies of the people.
Is that the violent and racist far-right organised parts of those demonstrations? I'm not saying that everybody who went there was part of an organised far-right group, but it's clear that they have been organised by fascist and neo-Nazi organisations.
Thousands have come here with a similar message lately, at times delivering it violently.
So not in my backyard. As long as there's somewhere else, I couldn't give a damn about them.
But Tommy Robinson has been inspired by the Epping victory, launching a new plea in regards to next month's mega Uniting the Kingdom rally.
Order on this day for the amount of people that are coming. If someone tries to step out of line, please, we need to put them in line. Okay? We need to put them in line. And I understand the aggression, but September 13th is not a time for that. Okay? It's certainly not a time for it. You will undo all of the hard work. I don't know if you understand the logistics and planning that's going on behind the scene to put on the festival that we're putting on. Don't let us fail. Please, do not make it a failure.
In my digest next, why Brits will no longer put up with terrorists, rapists and murderers in our community, causing carnage for Labour. Then, my superstar panel weigh-in. Broadcaster, geopolitical and money expert who advises government and businesses across the globe, Roger Gewolb, now the host of the brand new and very irreverent current affairs show Deadliners on YouTube, and public policy specialist Lucy White. Also coming up on the show today, flag wars rage as left-wing MSM shills reveal their true colours over the Raise the Colours campaign. Fury as Deputy Prime Minister Angela Red Rayner prioritises Pakistan over Britain yet again, and a Times hit piece on Tommy Robinson over Patrick Bet-David's Minette Act spectacularly backfires. We're going to show you why. Then, in the uncancelled after show on Substack, the Daily Mail has launched a vicious assault on Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Can you believe this? All over their decision to move into a forever home on the Windsor estate. But what is happening here is that the newspaper appears to be siding with their former enemies, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. So I'm going to tell you what's really going on as we join up with royal YouTube sensation P. Diner. That is over on Substack after the main show. www.outspoken.live is the address. And of course, we'll also be revealing today's greatest Britain and Union jackass. So lots of reason to stay with us until the very end of the show. Your nominees for the worst Britain in the world today, which you can vote for right now in the YouTube live chat. There they are. Rachel from Accounts, nominated by It's Only Me 44, the stupid Chancellor for turning the so-called £22 billion black hole into a £52 billion one, and now robbing anyone who dares to sell the home they've worked so hard for. Ian Dale, nominated by Mick Cass. He's a despicable broadcaster. That LBC phone-in with the Reform Council was disgraceful. I'll show it to you very shortly. And Narinder Kaur, nominated by Aaron Bizot for fueling division. So 3 interesting choices there. Narinder Kaur, Rachel Thieves, Ian Dale. Get voting now. Let me know your comments throughout the show. I'll read the best at the end as well. But now, let's go. Every damn migrant hotel must close. We know that, but we all know, however, that at that point, another major problem is created because we are just utterly fed up with these terrorists, rapists, and murderers roaming our community at all. We will no longer accept the very real risk of our daughters, mothers, and grandmothers being sexually assaulted in broad daylight by illegals fresh off the boat from France. We will no longer accept the lies from this treacherous Britain-hating government led by slippery Starmer, who has absolutely no intention to get these cretins out of our country or smash the gangs who facilitate this invasion on a daily basis. But yesterday's landmark court victory by the Tory Epping Council over the Bell Hotel, which sparked these scenes of celebration last night, and my God, the people of Essex, you deserve this. Well, that decision changes the game. Finally, the MSM, the deep state, the Westminster establishment can no longer ignore this story like they have been studiously attempting to do so over the past 2 months. Finally, two-tier Keir, on holiday after that little slap on his face, has to face his people who are suffering and have had enough. Finally, our peaceful resistance, elevated by the independent media and citizen journalists who cannot be controlled, has made a difference. And other communities are taking note, with peaceful demonstrations and the colours being raised outside the Brook Hotel in Norwich last night, prompting Tommy Robinson to launch a major celebration, writing, "I love to see this. We have worked tirelessly for 15 years, and to finally see the country unite and awaken in a patriotic show of force is beautiful. Watch."
Migrants sail across the channel to erase our identity.
This is a start of a movement that the regime media and Labour government can no longer control. As Tommy declared, "Well done. You did it." Now we need enough pressure not just to close these hotels, but to send every last one of them back. Of course, the regime media has utterly shamed itself over this decision, with the British Bashing Corporation and Woke ITV focusing on non-existent violence in Epping.
For now, it's only a temporary injunction ahead of a full hearing in the autumn, and not everyone in Epping is celebrating.
Thousands have come here with a similar message lately, at times delivering it violently, after an asylum seeker staying here was charged with sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl. Protests and counter-protests have demanded much of police and of local people. Many had become tired of the tension.
Oh, piss off, Paul Brand. You have no idea of how this country feels. But I have to say, it's the British Bashing Corporation, the BBC, which is worse. Nothing more than a truly disgusting propaganda outfit for Starmer's regime. So in their dishonest report from Epping last night, they managed to interview just 2 locals from Essex. 2 locals from Essex. And guess what? Both of those people were against the closure of the Migrant Hotel and on the side of the illegals terrorising the community.
And not everyone in Epping is celebrating.
I think it's a bit of a shame, really, because, to be honest, I've lived in the area for quite a long time and there's never really been any trouble from the hotel or the residents of the hotel until quite recently. So I think it's a little bit of a shame, and I don't know where the government will find to put them next, but hopefully it's somewhere safe.
It's not their fault. You know, they try to, like everyone, try to make a living. You know, they try to integrate into the country as well.
Can you imagine how long? Can you imagine how long that BBC reporter must have spent desperately hunting the streets of Epping? We've got to find someone who wants that hotel to stay open. Absolute jokers. Newsnight then drafted in someone who they described as a migration and asylum researcher, but who is in fact a radical pro-asylum campaigner. Watch.
What I'm worried about will be the outcome from this, and from the chatter online on social media we're already seeing, is that the violent and racist far-right organised parts of those demonstrations, I'm not saying that everybody who went there was part of an organised far-right group, but it's clear that they have been organised by fascist and neo-Nazi organisations that operate.
It's not clear that everyone has been.
But the demonstrations have been organised and initiated by fascist and neo-Nazi organisations. Anyway, my point is that those people are now talking about, I said clearly that not everybody who goes to
no, not everyone else. But the argument's going to be intensified.
But those people are saying this was a success because we showed that if we create a situation where it is unsafe outside of those hotels, if we create disorder, then they will have to move the people out, and they are threatening to do it all over the country.
That stupid blonde bint, she has no idea. There were no neo-Nazis or fascists outside the Bell Hotel. Look, the patriots that were there, the pink ladies, these were just ordinary Brits. So the constant degradation by the BBC ain't gonna work anymore. Even so-called conservative, I can't believe he views himself as a conservative, Ian Dale, who disgraces himself every night on Hard Left LBC, decided to have a go at the brave Reform councillor Jamie McIver. Watch.
Insults British people, that people come to this country illegally, break the law, get put into a hotel and then get fed. They need to be away from schools. They need to be away from young children. We have got, they need to be away from communities like Epping. That is the point. That is the point.
So not in my backyard. As long as they're somewhere else, I couldn't give a damn about them.
Women don't walk their dog.
No, of course I don't. Of course I don't. But you can't. What you're effectively labelling them, you're tying them all with the same brush. You're basically saying every single asylum seeker is a danger to your child, and that's a disgrace.
What would I do if I was the Home Secretary today?
Well, I know what you would do. I know what you would do if you were Home Secretary today, but the fact is you're not. Thank God you're not a Labour. Thank God you're not a Home Secretary. It doesn't really matter what you would do, because we have a government, we have the current law, and therefore the current government has to decide what to do with people when they come into this country. Now, you would like to immediately send them back to France, and yet you know that that's impossible to happen at the moment because the French wouldn't accept them back. And so you're just sitting there, really with no original ideas of what to do with them, just saying, well, let them starve, effectively. That's what you're saying.
I haven't said that at all.
Well, you have, because you said that you would not give them food.
After that failed attempt at an ambush, Jamie McIver posted to Ian Dale, illegal migrants need to be deported, but for now, I would put them in the Green and Lib Dem towns where councillors hold signs saying refugees welcome here. But LBC, which once, many, many years ago, over a decade ago now, used to feel like the voice of Britain, has totally lost the plot, and its presenters can't cope because callers are finally speaking the truth to the liberal elite, like that absolute little weasel, Lewis Goodall.
Why can't you put one up?
Why can't I put one up in my own home?
Yeah, why not? All these people, all you, Lineker,
right.
Mandelson,
right.
Cameron, all got these houses renting out. Why don't you put one up?
You're saying that the choice is that either they are in my home or they're on the street? Is that the policy outcome that you're really suggesting?
Oh, yeah, why don't you put them up? You're all for them.
You're right.
All these people who say they're welcome.
You're right. It's on me. You're right. It's on me. Me thinking that, like, there shouldn't be, in an ideal world, there shouldn't be homelessness. It's therefore on me to take on all the homeless people in my own home, is it?
No, not the homeless people.
Oh, well, there we go. But it's exactly the same principle. It's exactly the same principle.
It's not the same
I'm against
principle.
something.
Look,
yes, it is. Okay, so let's say I think there should be an extra school in my street. Is it incumbent upon me to run the school myself?
Would you be capable of it?
Well, maybe. I don't know. But my point is this. So you're basically saying that if you've got
the truth.
No, if you're basically saying, I'm sorry, you're basically saying that if one person has a political view about something, if it's basically up to you to do it yourself. If I want a hospital in my street, it's up to me to get the hospital myself, is it? You will accept, though, Dal, that there will be people who have genuine need of asylum.
I'll tell you how many of them are in genuine need of asylum. You'd be lucky to get 1 in 100.
On what basis do you say that, Dal?
I'm a Londoner. I've been round the place all my life, right? I work in the building. I see it. I've got two eyes in my head, and I see it and I hear things.
No, but I'm just saying.
I hear things. If you heard.
All right. Well, I hear things as well. I hear that there are people who are in genuine need of asylum.
Oh, really, Goodall? Really? Are there just? So those rapists, terrorists, murderers coming in from France are in genuine need of asylum. Well, take one then. Take one. Seriously, you would never have one in your home. You would never want one living next door to you. But the reality is that even with the MSM support, this government is imploding. As this utter car crash interview by the Security Minister Dan Jarvis proves.
Immediate problem is there are 32,000 asylum seekers in hotels, and it may now not be viable for them to stay there. So what is the government looking at as a contingency plan for where to put them?
Well, of course, we're looking at a range of different contingency options following from a legal ruling that took place yesterday. And we'll look closely at what we're able to do. But as I say, the bigger picture challenge that we're dealing with...
Could you give some examples of where that might be? Might it be blocks of flats, university accommodation, army bases?
Well, I would gently point out that there's been a single specific legal ruling that took place yesterday. We're clearly looking very carefully at the detail of that, and it'll be for other district and local councils to take a view as to whether they wish to bring forward their own legal challenges or not.
So there isn't currently a plan in place now for where those 138 will go, and you don't have...
I didn't say that, did I? What I said was we're looking very carefully at a specific legal judgment that took place yesterday. We will ensure that appropriate arrangements are put in place for those people required to move from the hotel in Epping. We've consistently said that hotels are not appropriate accommodation for asylum seekers, and we are very significantly increasing the rate at which we are making asylum decisions because of the backlog that we inherited. That is the very significant factor why we're having to deal with these particular challenges.
Now, can you believe that after that car crash, government shill Paul Brand of Woke ITV, the regime media, posted in defence, government source tells me the reason why Dan Jarvis won't set out the alternative to asylum hotels is because of security concerns. They claim far right could use locations as a recruitment tool. Seriously, my God, when are these idiots going to learn? There was no far right in Epping. These were ordinary patriots, your neighbours. This type of gaslighting just doesn't work anymore. We saw the people outside of those hotels. But there are now real world problems for the government, with Restore Britain suggesting that folk should send their council a message and follow Epping. And the Tory-run Broxbourne Council is already doing just that, posting with today's High Court ruling in favour of Epping Forest District Council's temporary injunction to stop a hotel in Epping being used to accommodate asylum seekers. Broxbourne Council will now take legal advice as a matter of urgency about whether it could take similar action. As the brilliant independent journalist Jack Hadfield, who's been on this story from the start, pointed out, if one hotel like the Bell starts closing down, then everyone knows that peaceful, angry protests work. Indeed, the Daily Telegraph reports on its front page today that migrant hotels across the UK are at risk of closure because of the High Court ruling. The court sided, of course, with the council because the migrant hotel was a clear breach of planning permission because it was no longer being used as a hotel. The shameful Home Office warned that the decision ran the risk of acting as an impetus for further violent protests and said injunction applications could become a new norm adopted by local authorities. Home Office lawyers who tried and failed to intervene in the case at the last minute had also told the High Court that any other applications could aggravate pressures on the asylum estate. Now, writing for the Telegraph today, Nigel Farage, the Reform UK leader, signalled that the 12 councils controlled by his party would mount similar legal challenges. Mr. Farage urged people to hold protests to persuade their local authorities to take action. He said, now the good people of Epping must inspire similar protests around the country. Wherever people are concerned about the threat posed by young, undocumented males living in local hotels and who are free to walk their streets, they should follow the example. Let's hold peaceful protests outside the migrant hotels and put pressure on local councils to go to court to get the illegal immigrants out. Because now we know that together we can win. I can say today the councils controlled by the party I lead, Reform UK, will be doing everything in their power to follow Epping's lead. Now, more demonstrations are expected at migrant hotels at the weekend. At least a dozen are planned for the bank holiday weekend, including in Wakefield, Gloucester, Stevenage, Newcastle and Bristol. Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick is also today encouraging a new and massive nationwide campaign.
What a great victory for the people of Epping and the council. That hotel had planning permission to be a hotel, not a migrant holding centre. I ordered the closure of that hotel. Labour, they reopened it this year because they'd lost control. But what now? Well, every patriotic council, whether Conservative, Reform, whatever, should follow Epping's lead and seek an injunction. And if you are a council or a community group and you need our help, contact my office. If you're a lawyer and you want to join the fight, contact me. Let's create a new movement. Lawyers for Borders. Look, the last Conservative government failed, and I've been honest about that. In government, I fought tooth and nail with Suella to stop the boats. And when it was obvious that that wasn't going to happen, I resigned. And I fought every day from the backbenches, and I've kept on fighting since. But now we have to work together, because our country's in a mess. We need to put as much pressure as possible on Keir Starmer to change the law, to deport every single illegal migrant who's here, and to close all the hotels.
Rupert Lowe also believes the fight back that started in Epping will now spread all over the country.
It's a great result this evening in Epping Forest. Credit must go to, firstly, the people of Epping who stood up and fought back against what they saw as an injustice. Credit to the local council for bringing this legal case. And so far, the judge has made the right decision. It now opens up the question of what other councils are going to do to protect their constituents. And today, my team at Restore Britain has written to every council asking them what action they propose to take. This is the beginning of the fight back. The solution is simple: detain and deport all illegal migrants, either living here or arriving here illegally. Not a complex solution to what is not a complex problem, but there is not sufficient will in our government to tackle the problem and head it off at the pass.
His campaigning organisation Restore Britain has put forward a policy proposal to use tents and not hotels, suggesting that land owned by the Ministry of Defence or other government bodies be repurposed for the establishment of temporary accommodation facilities with no illegal migrant being granted bail into the community. Now, this Epping victory comes as the UK is just 3 weeks from the massive, mega, huge Uniting the Kingdom rally, where Tommy Robinson expects 1 million patriots to peacefully protest in central London. Now, Tommy has been inspired by the success of Epping, and yesterday he launched a hard and fast warning to his attendees not to wear face coverings and to act peacefully after revealing he had met with police. Watch.
So, I've just had a meeting with the police, an hour and a half briefing about September 13th. Everything's looking good, okay? Safety, routes, we need to make a lane safe for an ambulance to get through, all these things, yeah? We're doing everything we can to make sure this is a safe event. What I need you to do, everyone here, listen to this. Make sure this is shared with every group chat you've got, every bunch of lads coming. I know lads are coming from every corner of Britain. They're coming from all around the world for this event. We fail if there's aggression. We fail, we're not allowing face masks. Do not come if you can't show your face. Honestly, please. We have worked, when I think about it, everything that's happened in my life for 15 years has led up to September 13th. Every single bit of misery for everyone. Lucy Connolly. Every person. What's happened to the abuse against patriots in this country is led up to September 13th.
And he explained, and this is important, that deep state forces are desperate for violence or trouble to occur at the event.
Send a message to the establishment, a message that they fear. They won't fear if there's trouble. In fact, that's what they want. Do not give them what they want. Don't overdrink, okay? Seriously, don't. It is a party. It's a party that involves families, old people, children. It's a festival atmosphere. Everyone's done it for the last 3 events. This is going to triple, quadruple the numbers. I believe 1 million people are going to turn up in central London for this. What we ask, every group of lads has got that one. Sometimes that one was me in my group of lads, yeah? Who's a bit boisterous and sometimes a bit too boisterous. Control him, lads, please. I know the football lads are coming from everywhere and I know the discipline they have. Lads, I appreciate it. Help us maintain order on this day for the amount of people that are coming. If someone tries to step out of line, please, we need to put them in line. Okay? We need to put them in line. And I understand the aggression, but September 13th is not a time for that. Okay? It's certainly not a time for it. You will undo all of the hard work. I don't know if you understand the logistics and planning that's going on behind the scene to put on the festival that we're putting on. Don't let us fail. Please, do not make it a failure. Imagine we all walk away at the end of that day with the largest event London has ever seen politically. It puts us in, people say where this is going. Watch where it's going. You watch what we've created in the last 12 to 18 months. Look at the mood of the nation. It's brewing for revolution. And the politicians will know it after September 13th. But they'll only get the message if we control ourselves. So again, the message has to be clear. Do not come with aggression. Bring your smile, bring your flag, bring your family, bring your children. That's the sort of event this is going to be.
Tommy also said that unlike Nigel Farage, he was attempting to unite Europe.
I've just found out there's 110 coming from New Zealand to do the haka. We're having to get a bigger stage. There's 110 who are part of a Christian freedom group, who opposed the lockdowns, who opposed transgenderism, who opposed all the problems. You know when people say, why are you talking about other countries? Why you got politicians coming from other countries? UKIP had a chance under Nigel Farage to unite with the populist parties of Europe. As in Le Pen, Wilders, all of them come under one banner. Farage refused. The problems that we face in Britain are a problem that face the whole of Europe and the whole of the West. It's an attack on the West. Only united do we defeat it. You see what we're about to pull off in London on September 13th? Well, picture us doing that in the summer, but in every major capital in Europe, with the support of the populist political parties in those countries. That's what our sights are set on, yeah? And on the 13th, we're going to bring you the best speakers from around the world. The bravest, the future leaders of Europe will be coming to the stage, okay? Now, it's important, but our message is about uniting the kingdom. We have lots of great speakers. Personally, Katie Hopkins, you're whose speech I'm waiting to see. No pressure, darling. Okay? It's going to be historical. It's not going to be a day you want to miss. Do not let anyone ruin it for us. Understand? Love to you all.
A powerful message because it's now clear that peaceful but consistent resistance is the way for us to take our country back. And I will just say, if only the organisers of this weekend's Notting Hill Carnival in London, where 2 people were killed last year, one young mum bludgeoned to death, if only they cared that much about hosting a non-violent event. Now, the Superstar panel. And it is so brilliant to have Lucy White and Roger Gewolb making their debut here on Outspoken. So, Roger, the government in crisis over this, but can you believe the legacy media continue to push this farcical claim that what happened in Epping was in some way linked to the far right or some way linked to violence, when indeed it was actually just ordinary patriotic Brits protesting peacefully and saying enough. The only violence we ever saw, Roger, came from the hard left Antifa mob.
I'm going to a fancy dress party this weekend, and I want to get a hold of one of those high-vis evidence gatherer jackets. I've never seen that before. I mean, look at that. Who could be proud of walking around declaiming a role like that? It's completely ridiculous. You know, you don't have to be half-sighted to look at those people and see that they are exactly what you said. Look at them. They're ordinary Brits. What kind of far-right, look at that. What kind of far-right fanatic? It looks like walking into Tesco, for goodness sake.
100%. 100%. It really does.
Look at that. I mean, where's the far right? It's what is that? What was that thing they used to have? That puzzle, spot the ball. I mean,
Where's Wally? Exactly. And Lucy, that's why I think the mainstream media are really showing their hand here. They are showing that they are actually now an apparatus of the regime, an apparatus of the deep state, because what they're doing is the bidding of the Home Office, trying to say, oh, this decision is going to lead to all of this violence when there wasn't any violence in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't any violence. And the main point is people shouldn't even need to be protesting. It's just such a stupid idea to put illegal migrants in a hotel with a community. They shouldn't have been there in the first place. They should already be deported. The fact that, English Brits, we have to go onto the streets, protest, take up our free time doing this. It's just ludicrous. And it just shows you how much of a pressing issue this is, that instead of, doing whatever else in their spare time, the only thing that matters is getting these illegal migrants out. And I'm just so proud of them that they actually succeeded.
But Roger, where do they go? That's the big issue, isn't it? Because what we have going on up and down the country, and we should never forget this, is Operation Scatter. And what that means is as soon as these illegals, as soon as these terrorists, these rapists, these murderers are no longer in a hotel, they are in your community, scattered throughout.
Well, you can either ascribe, Dan, to the theory that these people are the least experienced government that has probably ever existed in this country, or that they are pretty incompetent, at carrying out a globalist agenda of, opening the floodgates, like many Democrats in the States tried to do, to let as many immigrants in as possible, because then they'd vote for them forever. I ascribe to the incompetence rather than the conspiracy theory. But it seems that everything they do is just so stupidly conceived. I mean, eye tests for people over 70 to drive, because 28% of accidents were caused by people over 70. Well, wait a minute then. 72% were caused by people under 70. So why don't you give them the eye? I mean, and then they're going to reverse this, like the fuel tax. They change this, then they change that. They're going to now change the hotels policy. And as on my comedy show, Deadliners, on YouTube, our Angela Rayner impersonator says, well, we did say we're the party of change, didn't we? So, where are they going? I don't think they know. I see them as limping from daily crisis to crisis.
Flag wars up and down the United Kingdom as the mainstream media reveal their true colours as we raise the colours. He Speaks Freely received this video at 5:30 a.m. and she posted, the government justify the state of our country time and time again by saying that we have limited resources. Yet they seem to have the resources to take down harmless Union Jack flags. The establishment of this country is afraid of patriotism. They are afraid of you. This is what went down.
Now you can go on camera. Who's proud to say they're a traitor? Traitors. Taking our flags down, scumbags. With a little private escort, private security van with them. Well done, mate. Remember where you was. Remember your job. Disgusting.
I know they're doing their job, but shame on them. Seriously, just don't do it. And what's so interesting is that there is this big push by the left in this country to very much link the Union Jack, link the St. George's flag with the far right and with racism. But what we need to see is people who are saying to hell with that. So I give serious credit to Andrew Rosendale, the first Conservative MP who has proudly embraced this campaign, writing, "Raise the colours. No council or local authority should be removing our national flag, Union Jack and Cross of St. George from lampposts and public sites that have been raised by the people. Our national flags belong to everyone and should be flown with pride everywhere. Woke politicians, bureaucrats and officials cannot be allowed to cancel the patriotism of local people. We have a 100% commitment that they will not remove any Union Jack and St. George's Cross displayed in our borough." But I now want to show you what the mainstream media are doing, because it's so important that we are awake to this. So Tommy Robinson pointed out that the Labour writer Sebastian Salek tried to get the brilliant patriot, really good guy, Amal Bogle, to throw him under the bus on GB News, but Aman refuses. And he adds, "On September the 13th, we unite the kingdom. Be good to see you there, Aman. Hit me up in the DMs." And it was shameful what went on here. And I actually think it was shameful that Patrick Christie's, the host, didn't step in and watch.
Would you? Anyone, yes or no? Anyone who stands with this flag is a friend of mine. Because you know what? Tommy Robinson. I'll tell you what. This flag is a declaration of our love for Britain. It's a gesture. I agree. You're ignoring the question. Would you stand alongside Tommy Robinson in any campaign? Well, if it's a yes or a no. Of course I would. If he's standing, you would stand alongside Tommy Robinson. Well, if he's defending this flag, this glorious Union flag, why wouldn't I?
People are willing to see through certain other things historically and have a look at the situation in Britain today and say, well, actually, if it comes down to standing by someone with the flag, then that's something, isn't it?
But how absolutely pathetic that this is allowed to go on. It was actually, believe it or not, even worse on the Jeremy Vine show, where Dame Andrea Jenkins, the Reform UK mayor, was putting up a good argument, but Kevin Maguire, who's on the left, really showed his true colours. And again, his true colours are that he hates our beautiful flag.
To have a voice, and don't forget about I'm sick of being back of the queue. I think that's why.
Andrea, if you get something called Operation Raise the Colours, that sounds very military. It sounds very aggressive. And why are they doing it? So if you want flags on your town halls, you can make your choices. Yeah. I mean, you'll make your choices. I'll probably make different choices to you on the flags. No. But if you can't go around just sticking what you like on a lamppost. And if you're going out and putting the flag of St. George, why are you doing it? I bet you there's an aggression in this campaign, which I think we should beware of.
But look at the aggression of the pro-Palestinian lobby.
Yeah, that's why it was. That's why they were taken down.
But do you know? I mean, look. When I was the MP for Morley, they had one of the largest St George's celebration in the country. Even the BBC said, "Oh, is it the most patriotic town?" And it was actually amazing, that celebration, bringing everyone together and being proud to be English. And so I see nothing wrong with that. But to me, I think that this is an underlying protest movement because they feel that they're left out, forgotten about.
Migrants into Britain are amongst the most patriotic people in Britain. I saw that with the coronation. Look, I'm a Republican. It wasn't for me. Didn't take part. But I saw Bengalis and others taking part in that. Somebody's going around putting up these flags in this way, these crosses of St. George. You know it's aggressive.
How pathetic is that man? There is nothing aggressive about waving our flag, and you certainly would not describe another country expressing their patriotism as aggressive. But this is what the left are doing. I mean, Mehdi Hassan, that hard left nut job, actually described Jonathan Gullis as a racist. He wrote racism, no other word for this, after this exchange on Good Morning Britain.
I'm sick to the back teeth of seeing
the Palestine flags all over the place in cities like even Stoke-on-Trent, but parts of Birmingham as well that I've driven
Why are you
through.
sick to the back teeth of seeing the Palestine?
Because this is not Palestine. This is the United Kingdom, and in this country, our flag should be flying and our flag only.
In Birmingham, we celebrate St Patrick's Day. They have a parade, and the Irish flag gets waved.
People can wave flags if they want, but on flag poles, on a lamppost, if people want to show their patriotism, then that's absolutely fine with me. But I don't want to see.
So when we had the Ukraine, we had the Ukraine flag a lot. Were you sick to death of that as well?
Well, I think that's an entirely separate argument at the time of the conflict.
Oh, this is from the same Adil Ray, who said that when he drove into Birmingham and saw all of the flags up on the lamppost, he immediately thought of the far right. But there are question marks within Reform UK today over this Raise the Colours campaign. Because as Dr. Helen Ingram posted on X, Reform Councillor and Cabinet Minister for Highways has said that he will be seeking criminal damages for the St George's crosses being painted on roundabouts in Bromsgrove. And this is Councillor Carl Perks of Reform UK, who said every Englishman who flies St George's flags does so with pride. Family, communities and country is one of our biggest policies as Reform UK. We stand by that. There are many ways that people can show their pride by flying the St George's flag. However, he says, what I cannot condone are acts of vandalism, costing taxpayers money. This is exactly what the illegal painting of red crosses on local roundabouts will do. This act of vandalism will cost our county council money to rectify. As the Cabinet Member for Highways, I will be seeking criminal damages so that every other taxpayer in the county does not pay for this. And indeed, the Daily Telegraph confirmed that police are now investigating the St George's flag painted on roundabouts. And I do have to say, this has always been something I've warned of when it comes to Reform UK. Why is it that the moment they're close to power, they seem to throw their principles out the window? There's also a row going on between the Conservatives and Reform UK over who is doing the best job in terms of the migrant hotels. Proud Tory Kevin Edgar posted, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch went to Epping to speak to residents. Conservative Robert Jenrick went to Epping to speak to residents. Labour didn't. Reform didn't. Nigel Farage didn't. However, Jamie McIver, the local Reform councillor who did a brilliant job in Epping, said, because all of Reform UK's councillors in Epping Folder were standing shoulder to shoulder with our residents at every protest, not watching from the live stream. Nigel Farage is busy preparing for government. But it is interesting, isn't it? Because surely we either embrace the flag in this campaign or we don't. And I'm loving, by the way, the residents who are now quite carefully, and maybe the Reform leader will be so angry about this, but I love it, painting St George's flags in potholes with the hope that it means the council will fix them faster. And what does this campaign really mean? It's worth thinking about. And I was very taken by this post from our friend Bernie Spoffworth, host of If This Is True, a regular here on Outspoken, who wrote, no, nothing exposes the liberal metropolitan mindset more than snaring at ordinary British people. Ordinary people who pay their taxes, help at school fetes, jump, start a neighbour's car and chat at the bins. They're the ones who get up at 5:30 a.m. to be at work by 8. They come back in every shade, black, brown, white, even ginger, but live under one flag, the Union Jack. Yet turn on the BBC or look at The Guardian and you'd think they were dirt. Too rough, too regional, too uncultured, wrong clothes, wrong hair, wrong opinions, the far right. To the self-anointed good people, you know the type, university, never leavers, committee lovers, early retired civil servants, the media set and professional agitators. These communities are an embarrassment. Ordinary voices are laughed at, their concerns dismissed as fascist. But the tide is turning. Ordinary people are reclaiming their flag, their pubs, their towns, and their culture. The bullies have lost. They just don't realise it yet. As Plato warned, the price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. And it is glorious, a true coming together of the ordinary majority. Lucy, the Raise the Colours campaign. Why is the left-wing MSM so determined to link our Union Jack, to link our St. George's flag to racism and an invisible far right?
Well, the answer is very simple. It's that they're trying to silence us and trying to cancel us, but they won't succeed because, as we know, our country is literally in a state of emergency right now. So when you're in a state of emergency, you have to take action that may be radical as opposed to sort of, normal times. The reason we have to raise our flags is because we have had enough. We are saying, this is our country. You cannot keep dumping people from the third world into our country. Enough is enough. They need to go. And anyone that says they are offended by our flag, quite frankly, they shouldn't be in this country then.
100%. And Roger, it was bizarre because Kevin Maguire, who, in the past you would have thought was maybe like not a hard lefty, sort of slightly sane, but saying that there's something aggressive about our flag.
I mean, there's not so queer as folk. I mean, people in that particular demographic are really saying some very stupid things. But I think there's two groundswells going on. One, the Epping swell of spirit and patriotism, and the other that's not being mentioned so much. I do hear it from a lot of people, but it's not been written about much except by Dominic Moen, the former editor of your old paper, The Sun. And it's about the Oasis concert and the feelings that came after that. And that, there were no new songs. Everything was the 90s. And all of that.
And there was no wokeness.
All of that spread out, no wokeness, and all of that spread out overnight like some technological miracle across the country, and everybody everywhere was talking about it. And it took people, because they're desperate for it, I think, it took people back to the 90s when, if I can quote Mr. Mon, they gave us a timely reminder of an epoch when this country, still had a sense of swagger, confidence, and bloody-minded resilience, also of safety and security, where it wasn't afraid of its own shadow, and before it marched to the beat of political correctness. The tough-talking Gallaghers and their forthright opinions could not be further from our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, a squeaky, risk-averse lawyer being roughed up on the world stage. Perhaps Britain needs to return to its rock and roll spirit if it is to survive this joyless, technocratic government. Forget politicians, Dan. It's rock and roll stars who are going to save us.
I love that theory. Lucy White, do you think that this Oasis reunion may have actually helped lead to the patriotism that we're seeing with the raising the colours and that we're seeing outside the Bell Hotel in Epping?
May have caused Epping.
Yeah. Could it have
Yeah,
caused it?
absolutely. I think it's a fantastic reminder. I think the issue what we have in this country is we're very nostalgic. We look back on the old times and say, "Oh, I remember when my country was so nice. There was, not very much crime. We had a very much homogenous society, and now we are just divided with people that share nothing with us, not even the same languages or culture, etc. with us." So I think the Oasis concert was certainly a time of nostalgia. And I just say, bring it back. Let's have more, please. More and more from the 90s and beyond.
Do you know, Roger, I honestly, I was born in 83, so I view myself as a child of the 90s. And so often I just long, like desperately long, to get in a time machine and go back to 1997, where the world just felt perfect. And we were living, to an extent, an innocent life. I mean, when you think of the fact that September 11, 2001, certainly changed the trajectory of a young man like my life, because all of a sudden it was like the age of innocence was over. And unfortunately, I think that's why we're never going to go back. But also, you look at those videos from the 90s and you just cannot deny, Roger, our streets were very, very different.
Everything was different, absolutely. And it's that sense of security and safety and a certain bit of British braggadocio in a very British way, very polite. But we were Britain. We asserted ourselves, and we didn't have people walking around with clipboards checking boxes and asking bloody stupid questions and talking about all the woke things and political. I mean, all of this nonsense. If you brought somebody who'd been in a coma since then back today, I think they'd say, "Put me back in that coma, please."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put me in that coma, Lucy. You want to be in that coma, Lucy?
What I find so crazy is, I grew up watching Little Britain, which was absolutely hilarious. And if you told me, fast forward sort of 10, 15 years and it will be banned, and above all, it was the BBC themselves that aired Little Britain, you would just say, what on earth has come to this world where we can't even watch a comedy show anymore? And, obviously Matt Lucas and David Walliams, they were cancelled for what I see is absolute brilliant TV and absolute genius content.
And you know what? When I say I need a time machine to take me back to 1997, actually, do you know what? I'm going to say 1996, because we've got to be aware of what happened in 1997. And even though Tony Blair cashed in on what was called Britannia, and at the time was viewed as a positive reforming force, actually, so much of what we are facing right now, today, started with the reforms of Tony Blair in 1997. And a lot of senior conservatives, and I don't mean conservatives with a big C, by the way, I mean conservatives with a small c, who I speak to and speak of a Great Repeal Act, talk about reversing policies back to 1996. Breaking right now, outrage from patriots as Angela Rayner, Britain's invisible Deputy Prime Minister, decides to prioritise Pakistan over the UK as fury in the country spreads over mass uncontrolled immigration, the invasion of the Channel on a daily basis, and migrants committing sexual assaults on young women. But Angela Rayner doesn't give a damn about that, because she has her base, and we know the base that she is trying to appeal to. We know she wants the Muslim vote more than anything. So yesterday, she posts on X, I had a productive meeting today alongside Lord Khan with Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister to talk about how we can further strengthen UK-Pakistan ties. I extended my condolences over the devastating monsoon flooding. My thoughts continue to be with all those affected. Well, cue outrage. GB News presenter Alex Armstrong wrote, why do we need to strengthen ties with Pakistan when some of her own MPs and a few independents spend more time talking about Pakistan than they do about the United Kingdom? From Jack Jewell, complete kick in the teeth for all the rape victims. They just don't care. An independent journalist, David Atherton, wrote, the only ties I want strengthening are ones to enable us to deport Pakistani gang rapists. And of course, a reminder of the time that Angela Rayner, during the election, was in a mosque surrounded by only men. And there is such an issue, I believe, Roger Gewolb, with what Ms. Red Rayner, is trying to do here. Because given everything going on in the country this week, for her post to be about the people of Pakistan, unfortunately, confirms what a lot of us believe, which is that this is not a government that cares about ordinary British people's concerns.
No, and I have an additional point, Dan. Oh, if I may, it's Gewolb, not Gewolb. But
sorry,
if I may, I have an additional point. All of this deport these rapists and deport these people, and the latest labor thing, which actually sounds pretty good, credit where it's due, I thought originally, which is that, foreign criminals, throw them out. Don't keep them here until they've served 50% or 33% of their sentence. Get rid of them right away. If my daughter had been raped by one of these son of a so-and-sos, I don't think I'd want them on the next boat back to wherever the hell they came from, out drinking with their mates the next night. I'd want them in a British prison paying the price for what they did. So it's kind of a complex thing. By all means, throw them out and get rid of them sounds good. But if I were the father of somebody who'd been raped, I'd feel cheated if they were let go.
That is a very good point. Lucy White, what do you make of this backlash against the Deputy Prime Minister over her ties to Pakistan?
Well, I say this quite frequently, and that's if I could put a blanket ban on one country in the world from ever entering the United Kingdom, it would absolutely be Pakistan. I think they've just brought nothing. There's been nothing positive about them in the UK, whether it's the grooming gang scandal or Sadiq Khan being mayor of London, the halal meat. They push for blasphemy laws to protect Islam. There's just issue after issue after issue. I think the fact that we have 16 sitting Pakistani MPs in our parliament is ludicrous. 5 of those MPs were even born in Pakistan. All of this is ludicrous. And if you go back to 1997, that is the first time we had a single MP that was not British ethnically. And ever since 1997, it's just got worse and worse and worse. But if we look beyond those 16 MPs, who I believe should have no right to ever become a British MP, we're in England. If you sort of look at the latest scandal, it's that on the 16th of July, so a month ago, they agreed that Pakistan International Airlines could restart flights back to the United Kingdom, starting in Manchester. The main issue of that is originally that was going to be the bargaining tool of the UK saying, okay, take back these Pakistani rapists, and then the Pakistani government saying, okay, we'll take them back if you allow us to fly our planes back to the UK. However, because our government is so blindly incompetent, they just said, okay, you can fly your planes to the UK without even doing a deal. So we literally have allowed Pakistani International Airlines to come to the UK without the agreement that it's on the condition that we deport your criminals back. It's just mind-blowing. And if anything, there should be a one-way plane. We don't want anyone else from Pakistan coming into the UK. There should be a one-way plane from the UK back to Pakistan.
Yeah, I mean, so many problems. So many problems have been caused. But Roger, isn't the issue here, and I think it is a real issue, that we have a government that is now captured by the hard left. They desperately need the Muslim vote. And we've seen over the past couple of weeks that Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn's party provides a massive threat. So what we're going to get, unfortunately, even though it's absolutely not what the people of Britain want, we're going to get much, much more of this government and people like Angela Rayner bending over to the Pakistani government.
Firstly, I don't think that this government has been captured by anybody. I think they volunteered, with alacrity, joyfully to follow the route that they're trying to follow. But as I say, being as inexperienced and ineffectual as they are, they keep falling over themselves. Um, there's a big cultural difference with Pakistan, which is kind of hard to deal with. Some Pakistani people that I know who are involved in a television station on which I've appeared a couple of times took me around and introduced me to large numbers of other British Pakistani people. Absolutely charming, hospitable, lovely, completely normal people, just like you and me. But they did tell me that they think that Iran, some of them, not all of them, obviously, that's my next point, I'll come to that, but they did tell me that they think that Iran should have a nuclear bomb in order to protect itself from the onslaught of Israel, America, and the rest of the West. And I found that baffling that British people, could harbor that view. I didn't know what to say. And then the third thing I want to say is that when you referred to Muslims, I mean, I know an awful lot of Muslims, and we're talking about extreme Muslims here. Most Muslims are just like most Brits. I know there's all kinds of statistics saying that the Muslim community, this and that, but I mean, most of the Muslims I know feel just like you do.
It's interesting, that one. It is a debate. It's a debate because, if you speak to Gad Saad, who's obviously done lots of brilliant work, he says, no. You can put that word extreme there, but it makes no difference because the whole philosophy is extreme.
I said, well, that's a different story, if you like Churchill said about Islam, if you're into all of that. But I mean, it's very possible. I don't know. That's why I said it's such a difficult issue, because there's the whole concept of in Arabic, what's called taqiyya, where it's okay to absolutely lie and just turn the truth around 100% for the good of Islam, apparently. So who knows? But I mean, I know some Muslim people extremely well. I don't think they're putting on an act. I think they're sincere about feeling like most British people do. But
Lucy,
I mean, yeah, okay, this is what I would do. I would run this experiment. So you first of all, you remove the right for the Muslims to vote in the UK, and then you see if that changes the way Labour behaves. That's what I would be curious to see, because they are indeed captured by the Muslims. And you want some examples? Okay, number one, they're trying to introduce this Islamophobia definition, which would make it, a crime to criticize Islam.
And who's doing that? Angela Rayner.
Exactly. And basically, we need to look at the statistics. It is a fact that 42% of working-aged Muslims in the UK do not work. And a lot of them sit at home, are on universal credit. And I have a policy that I would love to install one day, which is if you are able to work, but you should not get the right to vote. Why is that? It's because taxpayers' money is what forms government budget. Therefore, if you do not contribute to that, why on earth should you dictate how it's spent?
Okay, well, let me, if I may just jump in there, let me just balance that by saying that the Muslims that I know well work as hard as hell, and they make a lot of money, and they're very industrious, etc. And my neighbors in particular, they say to me, Roger, I walk down the street and white British people these days, they just glare at me for no reason at all. And I really feel really uncomfortable.
You say no reason. There are many reasons. London, we had the 7/7 attacks, like 4 Pakistani men bombed multiple buses and tube stations in London. Then you had even Axel Rudakabana, who had the Al-Qaeda training documents. You had Ali Harbi Ali, who murdered Sir David Amess. And I can go on and on and on about
Manchester Arena bombing. I mean, it was so fascinating, wasn't it? At the 20th anniversary of 7/7, The Guardian decided that the victims of that attack were the innocent Muslims who had to put up with maybe some unfortunate looks on a tube carriage in the days and weeks after 7/7. I would argue that the real victims of 7/7 were the people who were maimed and killed or who lost relatives. But of course, this is where the positioning of this argument, I believe, in the mainstream media and the establishment and the deep state will always be positioned towards the people of Pakistan. And that's the reason why we saw the cover-up of the Pakistani Muslim rape gang scandal, one of the worst cover-ups in British history. And it's because no one is prepared to have an honest conversation about some of the dastardly deeds that this country has unfortunately put the UK through. And I think we can see from this Labour government that they have absolutely no intention of going there. Breaking today, Tommy Robinson fury at a hit piece from the Times newspaper trying to get him cancelled from Patrick Bet-David's new Cameo-style app. So here's the big investigation from Rupert Murdoch's newspaper, which trumpeted Tommy Robinson charging £28 a minute as personal coach to the far right. They suggested the self-styled fearless British activist is advising clients on issues including protesting, invading infiltration, and investigating local mosques. But Tommy had a very different take on this expose, writing, "They don't want us to be able to survive or earn money. We have beat the years of cancel culture. We are taking over. I think that they think that this will make the Migrant app cancel me, but we are in new times. It simply does not work anymore. This is not journalism. It's an attempt to have me cancelled, an attempt that's failed. I look forward to many more Migrant contacts." And I'm going to go through in just one moment what the Times believes is Tommy Robinson providing far-right advice when actually he's just having sensible conversations with fellow patriots. But here's his decision to hit back directly at the Times.
Respond to this, because they've been emailing me for a response. Your fucking cancel tactics don't work anymore. Yeah? Your hope is that Migrant cancel me. Those times are gone. It don't work anymore. They're not going to cancel me. Yeah? I am an expert. And your big expose was me, what? Telling young men to get in the gym. Get up early. Get fit. Be healthy. Stop drinking alcohol. Big expose. Well done. And unfortunately for you, I'm not just an expert in my field. Yeah? I'm a far superior journalist to any of you. And people trust what I say and not what you say. You've got all your figures wrong and you're adding up. You fucking idiots. But my only response to this is, I'm not going to get cancelled. That's got to hurt. You see, just for anyone looking at this, what they used to do with this, they used to bombard social media companies. The media act as a weapon for the state. And they bombard them, they harass them until they cancel you. And they try and dig up dirt and they'll get some comments from other people. And they'll try and say, look what he's saying. Look what he's using this platform for. Unfortunately, they don't realise the United States believes in free speech. You may not, Times journalist, and your intention here was to have me cancelled. And let me tell you right now, you failed miserably. Absolutely failed. I'm not getting cancelled. Thanks for the promotion. I'll get lots more personal contact from this. So I very thank you. I'll be busy over the next few days on Migrant. Thanks to you guys. Thanks for my promotion. Whereas you used to think you're cancelling us, now all you're doing is promoting us. Cheers, guys.
And of course, the Times has no problem with Nigel Farage charging, what is it, $95 to get a custom video on Cameo. So what on earth is wrong with Tommy Robinson on Migrant? You must think, right, for them to decide that this is like a scandal, a story that required pages and pages, he must have been doing something pretty terrible on this app, right? Let me take you through it. The Times writes that a reporter for them posing as an aspiring activist, these are the lengths that they're going to try and cancel Tommy, sent Robinson questions asking his advice on protesting and anti-Islam activism. He sent back 4 videos. 3 were received on August the 3rd and 4th while he was wanted for questioning by police over an alleged assault at St Pancras Station. He has since been arrested and bailed after returning voluntarily to Britain from Portugal and claims he was acting in self-defence. In the videos, which were received while he was abroad, Robinson spoke about dealing with infiltration by security services and described protests at hotels housing asylum seekers as brilliant. He said it was brilliant the fact it's not coordinated by anyone like me and that the protests would give people a sense of confidence in standing up, which is what's currently happening. He said it's going to spread all summer. Robinson, promoted as featured expert, had sold 310 advice sessions to members of the public since mid-June, according to a counter on his profile, generating at least $12,000. As well as recorded videos, which cost $50 and typically last a couple of minutes, customers can buy live coaching calls, which cost from $525 for 15 minutes, or written advice for $40 per question. The consultancy is delivered through Migrant, a Florida-based app owned by the conservative American commentator Patrick Bet-Davis, who has previously hosted Robinson on his podcast. Migrant, which take a 20% cut, says it lets users turn celebrities into your personal website. Personal mentor, sorry. The website says it is officially available only in the US and Canada, but was available to download from UK app stores this week. Migrant, for its part, said it complied with all relevant laws and strictly prohibited content that contains threats, incites violence, or promotes illegal activity. So what the hell do they believe that Tommy Robinson has done wrong? Well, I'll show you and you can be the judge. Here's the transcript. So this member of the public asked Tommy, my concern is for the future of our kids and their kids. Islam will do exactly what it's done in the Middle East right here. It's happening now. We need protest action. Don't change. We need a proper firm, what the King's Army should be doing, fighting, protecting our border. Is there any such plan before it's too late? So that's the question posed to Tommy Robinson. Here's what Tommy responds. There's a mass awakening happening. So yes, demonstrations don't change anything. Do you know what this demonstration is going to do? I think it's going to put 250,000 to 500,000 Brits on the streets of the capital city. It's going to be viewed by the entire globe. You're right in the answer about there's no solution to this without chaos. Yes, when the first European government attempted mass deportations, they will kick off. Chaos has to come then. We're in a race against time. All we can do is try and awaken more people with our speech, try and make sure people understand the danger Islam poses. Okay, any issues with that? I mean, certainly there were no threats of violence. So then the undercover reporter goes in and thinks, okay, I'm going to give Tommy a real gotcha here because we've got to get this bloke for our investigation. And the undercover reporter says to him, there's a migrant hotel in my town 5 minutes away from me. Do you think it's worth taking action on a local level? This is the reply that Tommy sent to the undercover reporter, assuming it was a patriot. Mate, I currently think it's brilliant what all the protests outside the hotels and the fact there's so many women and ordinary people, and I think it's brilliant the fact it's not coordinated by anyone like me so they can't tarnish it. I think those sorts of organic protests will be great just to awaken the country. I think it's going to spread all summer. September the 13th, going to be the biggest thing the country's seen. So that's it. That's it. To my superstar panel, Lucy White and Roger Gewolb. Roger, I mean, the Times seems to think that this is a massive scandal. Tommy Robinson says they're just trying to cancel me. They're just trying to stop me earning a living, but those days are through. Whose side are you on here?
Well, I'm on the side of the people. I mean, how could it be a massive scandal for 1 million people to get together and say, we don't like what's going on? What's scandalous about that?
I mean, Lucy, you looked at those answers, right? Where is the criminality? What is the Times suggesting? I mean, in that answer sent by their undercover reporter, I think it fell completely flat on its face because Tommy was very clearly saying, no. I don't want to be involved in these migrant hotel protests. It's important that it is led by the local community. What on earth do they have a problem with here?
Yeah, well, I also think one of the issues is that they keep raising, how much Tommy Robinson is going to earn from this, which is, it's a free market economy. He can earn whatever he wants. He can charge whatever he wants. People go to Tommy Robinson out of choice, and if they want to pay that, absolutely. What they make it sound as if it's a scandal. What the scandal is our government spending money on these illegal migrants, over 6.4 billion every single year, and it's rising. And yet they don't highlight this, do they? Oh no, they won't highlight when the government is wasting our taxpayers' money. Instead, they have to blame Tommy Robinson for actually what I would say is quite entrepreneurial of him. I think it's if they try to cancel him, they try to stop him getting jobs. I think it's a fantastic thing. He has to be independent and he has to earn his living. And good on him.
Yeah, because this is the horrible thing, Roger. As someone who has been cancelled from the mainstream media myself, I see what these people do. They literally want to destroy you and trample over you to the point where they lobby other organizations not to give you work. And it was very successful. You might remember about probably less than a decade ago, so a lot has changed, but the cancellation of Katie Hopkins was so brutal. They literally wanted to take everything that woman had.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, look, I mean, there's nothing wrong with charging the 28 pounds a minute. I charge 30 pounds a minute, and I do exactly the same thing. I only have one client. That's my wife, and she said she's getting tired of paying that. So, but I have a lot of respect for the Times. I still read it every day. But I will be showing up on the 13th, and I will be having and wearing by then my high-res vest.
Will you? So you're going to go? You're going to go to
Gatherer.
Uniting the Kingdom.
And it's going to say evidence gatherer on my vest, and they bloody well better pay attention because I'll be there watching them.
Roger Gewolb, who is now the host of the brand new YouTube series Deadliners, which you can subscribe to. This is such a great concept. So, there was a bit of a drama, wasn't there, with what happened with Headliners on GB News, now departed. But this is, I think, a much more spicy version, Roger.
Yeah, I mean, we are not headliners. If you want headliners, Patrick Christie's at 11 o'clock on GB News is still doing a wonderful program about the newspapers. We're not a newspaper show. We are a current affairs show talking about the best current stories, and it's run by some of the very best comedians in the UK and US. It's in its infancy. The camera work is not great. The sound is pretty lousy at times. The studio doesn't quite work. We've done 7. We're on our 9th episode in 15 minutes. I go on air. And it's a real mess, and everybody loves it, and it grows every week with more comics. One person described it as boys and girls smoking behind the shed. I mean,
it's naughty. I've seen a couple.
Naughty, it's irreverent. It's crazy.
It's very naughty, and it's really great because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The thing is, people just want the content, and they're not worried about all of the tech. And of course, Lucy Jane White is a public policy specialist. You can find her on X at Lucy Jane White 1, Jane with a Y.
A Y.
Right? Jayne. So great to have you both on Outspoken for the first time. Thank you so much. Now, we're going to reveal our greatest Britain Union jackass in just one moment. But first, to your feedback. Thank you for the super chat, Alex Maman, who wrote, Kehinde race baiter Andrews says he is offended by our national flags. Now, we played him on Good Morning Britain on the show yesterday. And Alex says, if he feels that way, he should be getting the very next plane out of the UK. Angela Bain writes, Starmer forgets our ancestors fought to keep us safe. It's in our blood to fight. But Dark Knight says, shutting the hotels is irrelevant. They will be moved near by somebody else's children. They need to be rounded up and deported, every single one. Pat Klaus says the US had zero infiltration from the southern border in the past 2 months and shipped out thousands of illegals who were already there. It can be done. It is not pretty, but it must be done. Amen to that. Trish says, sorry, not Trish. Blueberry Bubblegum says, people who hate the flag so much don't respect the country. Maybe they should jog onto the Chagos Islands. They're not part of the UK anymore. We paid to give them away. Side leader Andy says, Sly News were hating on the injunction against the Bell Hotel and how the government was right to try and stop it. Of course they are. And from Rainbow, I love this channel, Dan. You say it as it is. No bullshit, no cover-ups, just hold raw truth. Thank the Lord for you, Tommy Robinson, Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib, and Nick Coney UK. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, to our Greatest Britain and Union Jackass reveal your nominees for the worst Britain in the world today. Rachel Reeves, nominated by It's Only Me 44, the stupid Chancellor, who is now robbing anyone who dares to sell the home they've worked so hard for. Ian Dale, nominated by Real Mick Cass, a despicable broadcaster. That LBC phone-in with the Reform Councillor was disgraceful. And Narinda Kaur, nominated by Aaron Bazoo for fueling division. And the results are in. In third place with 14% of the vote, Ian Dale. The runner-up with 39% of the vote, Narinda Kaur. But today's Union Jackass with 46% of the vote, Rachel Thieves, Rachel from Accounts, our failed Chancellor, destroying this country's economy, and the mainstream media doesn't even want to talk about it, even though things are far, far worse than they ever were after Liz Truss's brilliant mini budget. And today's Greatest Britain, nominated by Two-Tier Seer, the working class Brits of Epping. They write, the working class hotel demonstrated, especially those who partied at Epping peacefully. Amen to that. Now, coming up in the uncancelled after show on Substack, the Daily Mail launches a vicious attack on Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, over their decision to move into a forever home on the Windsor estate. As the newspaper appears to side with former enemies, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will tell you what's really going on with royal YouTube sensation P. Dinosaur. At this stage, we come off YouTube and Rumble. We're going to move over to Substack, www.outspoken.live. But don't worry, we are back live with you tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, then you'll be alerted to our episodes. If you want to listen to the podcast or watch it, by the way, on Spotify too, we're now available as a podcast every single day. So just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get yours. Please rate and review. And most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for